Welcome to KSR Data Vision YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about self-introduction. So most of us would have crossed this hurdle, would have faced this as a problem. Technically, you can be very good. You may be able to do any task, but the things which we struggle is self-introduction. So I'm going to give you few points that you can remember when you're going for an interview. 60 to 70% of us may be facing this issue when you're going with interviews. The first initial 5 minutes is very crucial. There is high chance that you can get selected within the first 10 minutes, and the similar way, there is high chance that you may even get rejected in the first 10 minutes. So how you handle the first 5-10 minutes, it's in your hand. How you take it in the right direction is completely in your hand. Now I'll be discussing few points which you have to keep in mind when you're giving a self-introduction in an interview. To start with, I'll walk you through what is interview's expectations, and then I'll tell you few things what you have to mention in your self-introduction, and also I'll try to point it out some of the common errors that people make, and I will be showing an example content. And I was also part of many panelists. I was taking a lot of interviews, as well as I've given a lot of interviews with many organizations. In that way, I'll share you my personal experience with respect to interviews. To start with, none of the interviewers or a panelist are interested in knowing your personal information. They may ask you, but they will not be focusing on what you're telling. This introduction about your details becomes a key factor for them to evaluate your communication, how you approach, how you express, how you present. This will be tested as part of the first 5 minutes, and they are not interested to know your personal information. When you're talking about your skills projects, they will keep a close eye on what you're talking in terms of it skills, because this is going to be a technical discussion. Definitely they are going to observe what you're telling, and there will be a questions that will be raised from what is your skills. For the first 5 minutes, when you start about your introduction and the way you take forward to your project, for the first 5 minutes, they will be monitoring you with respect to your body language and the confidence. How you handle it, how you express it will be monitored. Now, this is not a technical question. Tell me about yourself is something which you know about yourself, which you are going to express it. Never leave any gap or break when telling about yourself. Don't think. There is nothing to think. It's not a question. It's just what you know about yourself. You're going to express it. Never think. Don't leave any gap. My personal request, in case if you're attending for the first round, first time, maybe if you're struggling to answer this, I would say that write it in a notebook before interview, read it multiple times, then go for an interview. During the interview, never think and think like what I need to tell about myself. No. Be confident, and that's how you can take forward with respect to the next level. Now, this is all the interview's expectation. Now, I'll tell you what you need, what you have to avoid it. As I said in the beginning, none of the panelists or interviewers are interested in knowing your personal information. The personal information, what you're telling, becomes just like a catalyst in order to monitor you based on your communication, presentation skill. So avoid telling your parents' names, brother name, etc. They're not interested. Avoid all these things. When you're speaking in a normal English, we tend to make this mistake. We tell, okay, basically, actually, only. We try to use this type of words. It's good when you're speaking, but it's Not good when you're giving the answers in an interview. Try to avoid this words. When you use these words, you will lose the confidence on you in terms of communication. Also, the interviewer will lose the confidence on you, like how you are approaching the answers. Keep it simple. Don't repeat the words and try to avoid these words. It's good that you have to speak about your strength in an interview, but don't speak only on strength. That will create a negative impact. It may even lead you to overconfidence. So try to remember this point. Every interview is a scheduled one. It could be 30 minutes, it could be 40 minutes, it could be 1 hour. Don't drag like a story. They're not interested to know more. Keep it short. Keep it as a 3 minutes, 4 minutes, keep it short. So this is something you have to remember. Plan it according to the time. If it's a 30 minutes, keep it to 2-3 minutes of your introduction. If it's 1 hour, keep it your introduction as 5 minutes. So you have to plan it according to the interview time, but don't drag it. This is something which you have to keep in mind. When I say the things you have to avoid it, I will also say what you need to mention it. Whenever you're going for an interview for a technical round, maybe I can call it as a level 1 or a first round, there is an opening or there is a vacant position and there are thousands of applications that has come for this role. Fortunately, you have got selected in the screening level, your resume has been shortlisted, and that's why you are here. So it's always grateful that you need to thank them for the opportunity they have provided. Many of the skilled resources are not getting the opportunity. So here you have got the opportunity, thank them. Thank them for providing this opportunity. Always greet them when you're joining for the interview. Good morning, good evening, how are you? How was the day? Start with this. It will not only create you confidence, but I can also say that it will create a good rapport between you and the panelist. Rather than an interview, you will start getting a feel of a normal discussion. Make sure you take 10 seconds to do this as a part of every interview. Now, coming to the second part, I can say that in every interview, when you're talking about yourself, start telling about where you're coming from. This is very important. Whether you're from Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, start speaking them about the location. So why is this important? Who knows? The panelist can also be from the same place. That doesn't mean that they'll select just based on the location, but it keeps them the context. And also with respect to the job location, they may be looking for a specific location. So if you're just mentioning beforehand, that will also be a context for them to be remembered for the later part of the interview. Now, your education is very important because that's a major qualification for this job. So try to expand it where you've completed, which place. Maybe even you can talk about your CGPA or mark, something like that. But always stick on to your college, university, and which year you have completed. This comes at the second part. For the first two part, don't take more than 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, your first two parts has to be completed. Now coming to the third part, this is very crucial because your complete interview depends on the skills, what you have mentioned on your resume and what you're going to speak. The third part, you have to start speaking as a professional, where you're currently working, what is your total experience, what are the skill sets which you possess. All this has to be in the part 3. Now in the part 3, there can also be some of the follow-up questions. When I say follow-up questions, let's say you had an educational gap. So they'll start asking why this gap. Let's say there is a gap in your professional experience. They'll start asking your questions on that. So definitely there could be a follow-up questions in the part 3, which you have to be well prepared. Let's say you add an educational gap, like you were out for some reason, like a personal issues, or you were out for a professional career, like you had a gap, you're preparing for some government exams, such. Be prepared. Don't think during the interview. This is something which is not a thinking answer. This is something about yourself. Be prepared for all the follow-up questions. Never think. Try to talk more on your skill sets, because the entire 30 minutes or 40 minutes of discussion completely depends on your skills. Start talking about your project. There are two ways an interview can be happen, like interview can happen. One is the interviewer will stick on to only your introduction, and then he will dig on to the technical part. The other part is one of the panels may ask, can you tell me about yourself and the current roles and responsibilities which are playing in your current organization? In this case, along with your introduction, you have to start talking about your project as well. So keep that in mind and cover the part 1, part 2, part 3. Try to stress more on part 3. This will be really important for the panelists to evaluate you. So these are the things which you have to mention. Now, I'll show a simple example how you have to start with. Let's say you're starting with interview. Just go with a good soft voice. Hi, hello, good morning, good evening, how are you? Just have a good gestures, have a small smile on your face, and just take it in a right direction. As I said, it's your gratefulness that you have to thank them. Thank them for the opportunity for their providing, and then start with your discussion. So you can start with your name, followed by where you're coming from and what is the highest qualification degree you have it. So then coming to your professional experience, where you're currently working, maybe you have been a fresher or you have been experienced. So start talking about your experience. Now, as I said, for the first 3-4 points, you should not take more than 30 seconds. And moreover, you have to spend a lot of time on your project experience. So what you're dealing with your current organization, how you're going to solve the business problem, what was the problem statement, and as a role, maybe it could be any role, what was your role in the current organization, how you were able to solve the business problem. This is very important. You have to talk more on this part. Maybe you can take around 1.5 to 2 minutes to discuss on this. So this is a very important, because that will keep the context between you and the interviewer, and also it will be a mentioned, as mentioned in the job description, you will be talking on the skill sets that you possess. So this is an example you have to follow in order to have a good self introduction. Now I'll tell you what are the few mistakes which I find out when I am taking interview to many of you. So the first thing is, the first mistake which I usually find is, a lot of people use the words like basically, actually, frequently. Try to avoid it. I am Sunil Kumar. I am basically from Hyderabad. Actually, I'm working in current organization. All these things will keep a negative impact on your communication. If you're not confident on your communication, you tend to use these words. Keep in mind. Okay. Maybe you feel, what is this small thing? But in the back end, they'll be observing you each and every word that you're speaking. Okay. Try to avoid all this. This will really create a negative impact. Even you will also lose the confidence. The panelists may also lose the confidence when you are speaking like this. So try to avoid all this. Now, with my personal experience, As I said, I've taken a lot of interviews, as well as when I go and give interview for other organization for my personal growth. What I observed is whether it is a digitalized interview or it's a face-to-face interview, always be in formals. Now, in the last 1.5 years to 2 years, every interview is happening over Google Meet, Teams, or Zoom meeting. You are connected over video, but still, I would request you to be in formals. This is the most professional way you can show them to the interviewer. I understand that you are at home. Okay, maybe your background could not be that neat or clean. So try to be in a neat place. Maybe a wall behind you would be sufficient. Or if you're still not be able to provide that, use some background images or background colors where you can show it to as a interviewer so that your background looks neat. Whenever you are giving interview, try to make sure you focus on the camera. Your panelists may or may not have switched on the video. That's fine, but it's your responsibility to be on video. Before even they ask you to be on video, please switch on your video. Don't wait for them to ask, and always focus on camera. When you're thinking and answering, maybe you're looking left, right, down, up, or even if you're staring at the screen here and there, people may get doubt that maybe you're browsing or someone is helping. You may not be doing, but how will the panelist will know? The panelist will think that you are trying to do something. So try to avoid all this. Always focus on your camera. For the entire duration of the interview, your eyes should be focusing on camera. So please keep this as a point. Never look here and there. You may be thinking, but the other person on the other side may not know what you're doing, right? So that is something which you have to remember. It's your responsibility that you need to be at a good internet speed and a good headphones in order to have a good interaction between you and the interviewer. Always make sure you have a good headphones as well as your internet is good. Don't give them opportunity for them to tell this or a point this. Okay, when you are giving interview, it's your responsibility to make sure you have all this checklisted points. So as I requested, please be in formals. Whether you are connected in Zoom, Team, or the other way of interacting in video, please be in formals, right? It will really create a good impression to the interviewer, right? So that is something which you have to keep in mind. So all these are my personal experience steps. Small things really matters. Maybe you feel they'll be checking my answers and not my body language or not my dressing. Yes, it's true. But when there is a chance that is being given, if a person is answering 8 answers out of 10, maybe he's having an attitude issue, he may not be get selected. A person who's answering 5 questions is having a good attitude and is impressive, definitely there is high chance that he will get selected. It's not a game that you get cleared based on the just your marks. The other things also really matters. Keep this in mind and prepare well and do well. Okay, thank you for watching. We'll come back to you with the next video with few more videos. Thanks for watching.